Okay, let's continue. So we'll go to resume save and we'll grab our Edessa save game. The last time when we left off, we had just managed to launch our first rocket. We flew it up into space, but we failed to get to orbit. So, hang on, we got some messages. We have splashed down into the ocean. Well, that's nice. Okay. So, what do we have left to do? We have to orbit Kerbin. That'll give us 48,000 credits, 6 science, and 10 reputation. So we'll accept that. We don't have any other active contracts, so what else can we do? Ferry for tourists, suborbital flights. I'm not terribly interested in tourists at this point. Haul the TD-12 decoupler into suborbital trajectory. 280,000 meters. Not interested. Haul the flea booster in flight. Okay, so yep. Swivel fuel engine. Okay, so this will be useful. Have the swivel liquid fuel engine. Fly it to 20,000, 23,000, and be doing a speed of 850. Now, this might be tricky to achieve, this kind of speed at this kind of altitude. Ferry for tourist. Test the parachute. Test stack decoupler. Fuselage. Splash down at Kerbin. Nope. Hammer. Do we want to fly the hammer? No. Survey, survey, survey. You know what? I'm just gonna focus on orbiting Kerbin. Let's see if we can achieve that. So I'll go back into the VAB. Let's load up our craft. Go candle. And we don't need the stack decoupler anymore. Okay. Save that. So what we want to do is we want to get this delta V up a little bit higher. Let's have a look at our engines. Okay, so our swivel seems to have disappeared. Oh, right, it was only available while we were testing it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of boosters to the sides. Do we have any kind of decouplers? No, we still only have the stack decoupler. Okay. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go get us some technology. To do that, we'll go into the R&D lot, and we have 86 science, which is cool. So first thing we want to unlock the swivel fuel engine and some extra fuel tanks, so we'll research that. We'll get some decouplers and some science experiments and some antennae, that's cool, we'll research that. Survivability, we don't need any of these, although I would like that science experiment. No, none of those. There we go. Radial decouplers. That what we want. That is what we want next. The Reliant liquid fuel engine. We're not really necessarily interested in this one just yet. How much science do we have? 58. Okay, let's grab some of this. Science experiments. We're down to 43 science. Yeah, we can't afford any of these, but we can afford these. Okay, hell with it. Let's do that. Okay, that leaves us with 23 science. Cool. Let's get out of here. No, I don't want to upgrade. Okay. Back inside our VAB, we can now create our very first staged rocket. First thing I want to do is reduce the part count a little bit. So drop that, get rid of all of that. So get some of these fuel tanks. Okay, that's a TWR, or a thrust weight of 3.15. 2.38, very nice. Okay, that's cool. let's attach the second stage to this. So a couple of thumpers should do it. Okay, what's the problem? Oh, we're way too heavy. Okay, get rid of that. Okay, that's still overweight. How are we doing? We're 9 tons, right? That's still overweight. Okay, that brings us in at just under. Okay, so let's grab some of our decouplers. Let's see if we can get them attached. Okay. What happened here? There we go. Okay, so the raises our delta V from 3200 to 4000, which is cool. Should have enough DWR here. Let me just lower this guy a little bit. Okay. Still puts us in at under the maximum mass. Lower our thrust to weight to about 1.9. Aerodynamics. Okay, cool. See if I can raise the fuel loading on this a little bit. Do I want to do that? No, we can try this one. So we'll call it Candle 2S. Candle, but with second booster stage. Still cannot transmit science, but that's the only concern he has. That's fine. Let's put some science on there, in fact. Okay, the Kerbal Engineering System boasts an impressive 128 bits of solid-state storage and enough processing power to run at least 3 digital watches. Okay, this is our Kerbal Engineer. Basically, it gives us all of this stats while we're still flying. So I do like to attach this one. Try that one here somewhere. Okay, that'll do. Let's attach some science. So thermometer, a barometer. Cool. That's our capsule, now has some science that it can carry out. Do we want communication? No, because whatever science we gather, we'll just bring it back with us. So that should be right. Electric charge required but not generated. These parts. Okay, so these parts will consume electric charge, but the vessel is lacking parts to generate it, except alternators on engines. But these will only generate charge as long as the alternators are active. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we don't run out of power, we should be right. The capsule does have some power. It's got 50 units of electric charge, which is fine. Okay. So now what I want to do, I'm going to try to lower these engines so that we don't topple over. We want to have it as close as possible to the center engine, so that at the moment, as you can see, they don't quite line up. So as soon as the rocket is placed down, it will be teetering on this thing. Instead, I want to lower these guys so that they're roughly level. Yep, that's about right. Okay, now I want to lower these fins as far down as they'll go. Okay. So that way our rocket will be a little bit more stable and it won't topple over. And last but not least, notice how I'm constantly turning to the right as I'm taking off. I'd like to actually swap that around and just rotate the entire rocket so that it starts like this. And this way, all that we do is we just push that way to get our 90-degree takeoff. Okay. Well, let's see if this works. Save that. Make sure our crew is aboard. Yep. And just double checking our staging. So first the booster stage, then the decouples, then the engine, then the final decoupler, and finally the parachute. Let's do this. Okay, we've passed the first test. We have not toppled over, which is cool. Alright, now while we're sitting here, we may as well gather up all the signs. So we've got pressure scans, crew report, which is unnecessary, temperature scan. Excellent. I think we're good to go. Okay, so we'll activate SAS. And I will grab my control pad. And I think we're as ready as we'll ever be, so I will just... Okay, so we'll start the countdown at 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff. Okay, nice and steady now. No stability issues. So far so good. I'm just going to start leaning it slowly downwards. Seem to be having trouble controlling it at this point. Pointing in the wrong direction. Just decouple. Lovely. And we'll stage again. Okay. Thankfully, because of the gimbal of our engine, we're able to get our control back. So I'm just going to throttle up. This is definitely not the ideal ascent path, but just doing what I can. Just throttle down. Okay. 35 kilometers up. This is a horribly inefficient ascent path, but that's fine. It's good enough at the moment. We're just not very controllable on the ascent at all. We're just relying on our reaction wheels, which are simply not strong enough to steer while the solid boosters are running. "65 kilometers up." 69 kilometers, and we're in space. I'm going to throttle up, and and see if I can get us into a semblance of orbit. Just watching our delta V, our fuel levels. We're at about 1,000 delta V at the moment. Should be plenty. Okay. So around 2,200, we should be good. Our speed is at 2,000 meters per second, 400 meters per second delta V. Okay. Let's have a look at the map. So this is our apoapsis at 134 kilometers. And we have 368 meters per second delta V total. Okay, so we're going to try to burn at the apoapsis and see if we can manage orbit. Fast forwarding time. Okay. So now just rotating our craft towards our direction of travel. Okay. And just gonna throttle up. And we are in orbit. There we have it. Can we circularize properly? You know what? That will have to do. Getting a little bit nervous with our fuel levels. If we run out of fuel, we'll be stuck in orbit, so that is definitely going to have to do. Okay, let's perform all of our science. Atmospheric pressure scan. Crew report. It seems we're very much in space right now. The sky seems to be mostly below us. Collected recorded temperature data from the environment. That's good enough. Okay, Jeb, can you go EVA? You cannot. Ah, we still have to upgrade the astronaut complex. We have some messages. So our contract parameter is complete to achieve the goal, apparently. We didn't tell the recovery team that you'd be staying in space, so they're still looking. Great job. Recent accomplishments of a space program attracted contribution from numerous organizations. We've entered orbit for 24,000 credits. Way to go, Jeb. You are the first Kerbal in orbit. Okay. I'm just going to go back to the Space Center. We'll leave Jeb up there for the time being. Because sometimes what happens is, while in space, you will get new job opportunities to mission control. Sometimes they'll say, bring back so-and-so. Here we go. Our exploration of Kerbin is going according to plan. We must continue to unravel its mysteries. This mission is basically to return Jeb back to Kerbin. We could have done this for free, but now, if I accept this, we can get it for 32,000 credits. You left enough fuel in the tanks to return from orbit, right? We want the deposit on those parts back. Yes. Do we have any other missions? This is mostly just hauling parts, testing decouplers, ferrying tourists, more testing of decouplers and parachutes. Yeah, I'm not interested in any of these at the moment. I'm interested in science. So let's go to our tracking station and see if we can get Jeb to return. Welcome to the tracking station. Hi again. This is the tracking station facility, and here you can view all of the solar system. as well as the current positions and trajectories of all ongoing missions. When you have missions in progress, you'll see them listed on the panel at your left, and you'll be able to take command of them from this screen. Sometimes contracts may require specific destinations in orbit or on the surface. Those will also be visible here. Lastly, if you want to see the same map view during flight, just hit the M key. Got it. So our suborbital candle is now an orbital candle, so we gotta update that. And there's Jeb. So if I click on the fly and take command. Now last I checked, we had 78 meters per second leftover fuel. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, so we'll just so our apparatus is 134, so I'm just gonna, to make sure we have the best chance of utilizing the fuel to get home, I'm gonna wait until we're back at our apparatus before retro burning. So we'll just fast forward until we get there. So we have no data connection, no antenna connection to the ground, that's fine. Once we get to automated probes, the data connection will be crucial. Okay, here comes our apoapsis. Lovely. Now, let's angle ourselves in the reverse direction of travel. Okay, this is where we get to find out whether we left enough fuel in the tanks. And burn away. Okay. That's the rest of the fuel gone. What is our periapsis? 18 kilometers, just shy of 19 kilometers. That is perfect. That is excellent. Okay, now all we gotta do is fast forward until we get back to the atmosphere. Okay. Alright, let us jettison the rest of the rocket and disable SAS. Okay, and now just gotta angle ourselves towards the wind. There we have it. And now we just glide safely back into the atmosphere. That's it. That's another successful mission. We just got to survive re-entry now, but we should be right. The capsule can handle quite a bit of re-entry heat. Once we start reaching out to the Mun, we might have to start adding some heat shields. But yeah, we should be right with this. Now some more space trivia while we wait. The first rocket to reach space was a German V2 rocket on a vertical test flight in June 1944. After the war ended, the Research and Development Branch of the British Ordnance Office organized Operation Backfire, which in October 1945 assembled enough V2 missiles and supporting components to enable the launch of 3, possibly 4, depending on source consulted, from a site near Cuxhaven in northern Germany. Although these launches were inclined, and the rockets didn't achieve the altitude necessary to be regarded as suborbital spaceflight, the backfire report remains the most extensive technical documentation of the rocket, including all supporting procedures. Subsequently, the British Interplanetary Society proposed an enlarged man-carrying version of the V2 called Megarock. The plan, written in 1946, envisioned a 3-year development program culminating in the launch of test pilot Eric Brown on a suborbital mission in 1949. The decision by the Ministry of Supply under LT's government to concentrate on research into nuclear power generation and subsonic passenger jet aircraft or supersonic atmospheric flight and spaceflight delayed the introduction of both the latter, although only by a year in the case of supersonic flight, as the data from the Miles M52 was handed to Bell Aircraft. Oh, we've had a failure of some sort. Okay, we seem to be coming in at an angle. I'm just going to try to maneuver. Whoops! There we go. Okay, so something blew up. I'm not sure exactly what it was. It looks like the parachute's still intact. I think we've lost our thermometer, which is fine. Okay. Over a decade after the Megarok proposal, true orbital spaceflight, both unmanned and manned, was developed by the Soviet Union and the United States during the Cold War, in a competition dubbed the Space Race. The race began in 1957 when both the US and the USSR made statements announcing they planned to launch artificial satellites during the 18-month-long International Geophysical Year of July 1957 to December 1958. Okay, how are we doing? We're at 21 kilometers, dropping to 800 meters per second and dropping. Beautiful. Well, we've lost the thermometer, but otherwise, Jeb seems perfectly intact. Okay, and it is now safe to deploy our parachutes. So we'll just do that now. On July 29th, 1957, the US announced a planned launch of the Vanguard by the spring of 1958. And on July 31st, the USSR announced it would launch a satellite in the fall of 1957. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite of Earth in the history of mankind. On November 3rd, 1957, the Soviet Union launched the second satellite, Sputnik 2, and the first to carry a living animal, a dog named Laika. How are we looking? 5 kilometers up. It's too dark to tell whether there's ground or whether there's ocean beneath us. Our parachutes still haven't fully opened, but that's fine. It should open around 2,000 meters up. And there they go. There we go, full chute deployment. Looks like we're going to land in the highlands. Unless if we land on a particularly steep slope, we should still be safe. Okay, 1,300 meters up. Now for some history about... How are we doing? 12.5. Okay. Now for some history about Edessa while we wait. According to some ancient writers, Caranus, the legendary founder of the Argead dynasty, whose most famous member was Alexander the Great, established the city of Edessa and made it the first capital of ancient Macedon. And later, Argead rulers moved Macedon's capital to Aegae and eventually Pella. We have landed. We have landed. Lovely. Okay, I'll just have Jeb jump out and do some science as well. There we go. Perform all science. He still doesn't think a spacesuit is entirely necessary. I don't care, but that will give us 2.4 science. We don't have the ability to place flags just yet, which is fine. And he can't take surface samples, so we'll just have to settle for his report. Grab hold of that, and then board, dump hold, duplicate experiments. That's all there is to it. Recover the vessel. Okay, that's quite a bit of science that we managed to gather. 84.6 in all. Bunch of atmospheric pressure readings, temperature readings, and of course crew reports. Next, recovered some parts, which is cool. We got 799 funds back. That's fine. I mean, every little bit helps, I suppose. And yes, Jeb has advanced to level 1. Which I assume means that previously he was at level 0. Anyway, so that is that. Let's have a look at our messages. So, congratulations on a safe return from orbit. You can stop kissing the ground now. Okay, and that gives us 4 units of science. Our exploration of Kerbin was successful, but who knows what the secret is it holds. That gives us 20,000 credits and 4 science. Recent accomplishments of our space program have attracted contributions from numerous organizations. We have returned to the surface from orbit. 24,000 credits, 2 science, and 5 reputation. Let's have a look at what other jobs we have. So it's still testing a bunch of parts. Exploring the Mun. Oh yes, yes please. In the grand scheme of things, we know very little about the Mun. Let's see if we can explore it a bit further. Prestige for this is significant, and it expires. The offer expires in 5 days. Today's your lucky day. Simply head to the Mun and pass by it. Easy as pie. No risk at all. Now sign this waiver. It would be somewhat disconcerting if all our missions to the Mun were one-way trips. Bring one back to the Mun. Bring one back to the Mun? Okay. So return to Kerbin from a flyby of the Mun, that's 80,000 credits. And flyby the Mun, that's another 80,000 credits. I will have that, yes please. So ferrying tourists, we still don't have any automated probe cores, which is usually necessary if you want to ferry tourists. So we'll skip that for now. And then the rest is all testing various parts and observational surveys, which we don't really have the technology to do them anyway. I mean, you sort of can, but you have to kind of get really lucky to fly over an area while over 18,000 meters. If they're below 18,000 meters, then it's fine. You just build an airplane and fly there. But if they need you to be at this altitude, we just don't have the engines to get up there. So we'll leave those as is. Okay. Get out of here. So let's have a look at what science we can do. So we have 131 science. Let's have a look what we can do. So basic science gives us gives us the science junior, which is great. It's a material testing unit. Otherwise, let me just read the description properly. So the SC9001 is a cutting-edge, self-contained laboratory. Have you ever wondered what happens to something in 0G? Have you ever pondered the truly meaningful questions, such as what would happen if exposed this to the rigors of stellar radiation and unforgiving vacuum? Comes in complimentary notepad, recommended for ages 4 to 8. Small parts inside make it not suitable for small children. Okay, an experiment storage unit, always good. Ooh, nice. A Probodyne Staputnik. That is our first ever probe core. The Staputnik offers the ultimate solution in crew safety. A lightweight sphere equipped with remote receivers and relay control input from the ground to the craft. It carries no crew at all, thus keeping them perfectly safe from all harm. This device doesn't require electricity to operate, however. Oh, does require electricity. And will cease to function if the power runs out. Built-in battery should keep it going for about 10 minutes. Speaking of which, there's a rechargeable battery pack. Now this is the first tier battery pack that we can get. It's a standard model for electrical application, holds two 4A batteries, and holds a maximum of 100 units of charge, which is about twice that of our command pod. Okay, what else we have? We have flight control, so that gives us some winglets, and it gives us the MechJeb. A MechJeb case. Now this doesn't give us all the features of MechJeb, it just gives us a basic, I think maybe 4 base modes of MechJeb, whereas subsequent upgrades will give us more control and more features. Okay, an inline reaction wheel, these are handy. And a re-entry module that takes 2 Kerbals instead of the Onion, which only takes 1. Some aviation parts, which gives us a bunch of aircraft parts. Construction gives us a crew cabin, cargo containers. Ooh, another probe core. This one is the MK1 nose trunk. What else could you put in your craft that is drone controlled? Maybe you want to put something inside that's in front of your craft and substitute a cockpit. Kerbal Standard has come up with a solution. Big and plenty of space, a trunk under the nose cone. Right, so this is not a probe. This is just basically a storage container that goes in the front, in the nose of your aircraft. That's cool. Okay, and what else? We have advanced rocketry, which gives us a bunch of engines, which is cool. Some boosters, a bigger fuel tank adapter. Yeah, that's cool. So first thing I want to do is, what do I want to do? Want to fly to the moon, or do I want to stay on the ground and fly on the ground? I'm not sure yet. Okay, tell you what. I will grab this science because I really like this science experiment. We'll grab the aircraft parts maybe, because we get some tail fins, which are handy for control while on the ascent, so we'll grab that. And that is all that we can afford. Cool. Alright, and that is time. Thanks for watching, and we'll continue this in another episode.